Trapped on an unhospitable alien world, Peter Parker will be forced to come to terms with what brought him to space in the first place, as well as his more than complicated love life. What'll happen next? Well, let's hop into the pages of Amazing Spider-Man issue number 17 and find out what happens next together, shall we? So then, as we join the book, it seems that the totally spaced out Spider-Man and his web warriors of the universe have found themselves crash-landed on a planet with no name. Naturally, this is highly suspect, and Rocket Raccoon has his own theories about what could possibly have brought them there. Maybe it was Xantos returning to his evil ways. Maybe it was the newly released Glitch trying to get a modicum of revenge. Hell, it could even have been Peter and Raylit. They've been acting all lovey-dovey after the last mission, so maybe this is their way of justifying a romantic little date in the forest instead of finding a Stargate that will take them all back home. And hey, speaking of Peter's new relationship, in a moment of what I can only call surprising emotional maturity, especially considering how he's been written over the last some decade and change, Peter takes this opportunity to check in with Rylith and make sure that everything that's going on with them is alright. They kissed in the previous issue, Peter likes her a lot, but also, you know, they know basically nothing about each other and they've met each other at a very strange and strained point in their lives, so he wants to make sure that no one's feelings could be hurt if they chose to pursue this any further. It's right around here that Rylith decides to pull the band-aid right off by saying, "Oh, Peter, I don't actually feel about you the way you think I do. Sure, we kissed and that was fun, but I'm an alien. My species don't do things like that. This is all just fun and games. Besides, if we actually did throw down with a snoo sesh, I would probably break your tiny little boyish arms." This is honestly not a deal breaker for Peter. He's actually happy at the prospect of this being just a casual space fling and thinks to himself, well, you know, we do have a med bay, and yeah, this is a funny exchange for sure, but at the same time, what was the point of breaking Peter up all that time ago? If writers seem so deathly afraid of the concept of putting him in a more committed relationship, everything is casual and open and a fling. There's nothing wrong with those kinds of ideas in theory, it just feels like creative teams are missing out at best and at worst are actively afraid of ticking off the fan base any further than they basically already have. Now, believe it or not, these are all B and C plots in the story. The real A plot is some actual movement in what actually brought Peter to space in the first place. You see, Raylit and Spider-Man end up getting ambushed by Nicodema of the Pinnacle, a cyborg angel, who was offhandedly mentioned by Hellgate several issues back. What is her deal? Well, it seems that her and Hellgate actually come from the same planet, Kylo. Once it was a beautiful, glowing metropolis protected by their greatest hero, Hellgate, but all of that changed when the curse of avarice took the planet. And now everyone thinks the only way to properly save the planet is tied up in some being called the Prince of Silksteel, which Hellgate very much believed was Peter. Nicodema wishes to explain further the actual depth of what's going on right now, but to do so, she will need to psychically invade Peter's mind, something that A, he is absolutely not on board for, and B, Peter already doesn't like Nicodema for the way that she's choosing to treat Raylit. You see, get this, Raylit is also from Kylo. I know, right? What are the odds? In a galaxy this massive, Peter just so happens to run into someone from the same planet that kicked his ass and sent him on this space odyssey in the first place. One new development we do learn is apparently that whatever Raylit is, her race is treated as a second-class citizen on planet Kalo. Nicodema is royally pissed at the idea that Peter refuses to heed the call and accept her lore bomb. And honestly, can you really blame him for trying to run away from the main story? This little space diversion is the most I've actually enjoyed reading the main Amazing Spider-Man book since G's Beyond. Maybe even superior if we really want to stretch it. Now, when Glitch hears that Peter is in danger, he swoops into action so that they can rejoin with one another to fight off the threat. That is, Nicodema using her psychic powers to enrage a series of local killer xenomorphs to attack our heroes. You would think beating these things back would be easy, but it's not. You see, before, when Spider-Man actually used the Techno-Arc suit, Glitch wasn't active. Now he's sentient again, meaning the more they fight together well fused, they run the risk of their minds actually melding together and maybe never being unmelded. This actually leads to a very fun and creative little aside. While in the heat of battle, Glitch ends up looking into Peter's mind and seeing an old memory of Uncle Ben while not understanding why he's thinking of his uncle at a time like this. But believe it or not, there actually is a good reason Peter is still worried about Rayleigh and as such tries to relate to her by bringing up an old dark story from his youth. You see, when Peter was a kid, the local candy store owner was a guy named Mr. Grasso. Everyone in the neighborhood loved Mr. Grasso. He was an old military policeman during the war, much like Uncle Ben. Only, as it turned out, Grasso wasn't actually a good guy at all. He hurt a lot of children in the neighborhood. And while all the kids in the neighborhood, including Peter, knew, they never actually told anyone because, hey, he was an adult, he had authority, he was respected. Who could possibly ever believe them, right? Even after he got caught, Peter lied to Uncle Ben, saying that he had no idea what was going on, even though he did. A lie that gutted Uncle Ben and still very much haunts Peter to this day. Why is he telling Rayleigh any of this right now? Well, if he had stood up to authority back then, maybe things would have been different. And hey, it turns out this pep talk is exactly what Rayleigh needed to regain her strength and rise up against the authority of Nicodema. Right here, right now, though at this point the story is basically over. We transition back on over to Rocket and the rest of the crew, where we learn it was actually the universe's favorite idiot Nail who sabotaged the ship. Not for any malicious reason, mind you, he just really liked traveling with this group of people. He started to see them as a family, and he feared what might happen if Peter and the others end up going to where they need to get. A fear that may actually be more founded than anyone could have guessed, because as the comic comes to a close, Peter returns to the campfire saying that he needs to get back home right now. And so that was Amazing Spider-Man issue number 17, everybody, and honestly, I don't know what they were trying to accomplish with this issue. It feels like in 16 we had finally set up a brand new status quo for Peter, Space Pirate, and his crew, traveling to alien planets, getting stronger, and working their way slowly but surely back to Earth, but then this issue comes out of the blue and says, nah, actually we need to hurry up right now and get back to Earth, it's a big deal. Drop whatever you were doing or any fun new relationships you were forging, because apparently the old status quo needs to be returned to right now. But, you know, not so quickly that we're going to explain to you everything that's actually going on right now. We hope to use that as a carrot on the stick to keep you coming back next time. And honestly, it feels like they're just slowly but surely letting the air out of my metaphorical balloon on this one, and it's kind of a drag. That's not to say the issue itself is particularly bad or anything. I actually did have quite a lot of fun with Glitch and Peter having to fight side by side, but without getting so close that they lose themselves. Rockets aside was fun and funny, and I even enjoy the revelation with Rayleigh, even if it is super convenient that she just so happens to be connected to Nicodema and Hellgate. My hope is they just don't end up burning through all the potentially good or interesting material just so they can finally get Peter back to Earth. Overall, though, I think I'd give this one a 6.5 out of 10. It's probably my least favorite of this brand new space era. Hey there everyone, it's your pal Cape Joel again, and if you're seeing my face right now, that means you watched to the end of the video, and I'll always be grateful for that. Retention helps in this crazy YouTube game, and so does becoming a patron. If you head on down to the description, you can find a link to my Patreon page. Recently just redid all the tiers, a lot of cool stuff offering up there, exclusive commentaries, exclusive polls, behind the scenes concept art for Capes and Quest. That's the brand new D&D show I've started soon. Never been a better time to become a patron. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month and help the channel grow and, you know, help me continue to deliver content like what you just saw. So I want to thank you all, and I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.